Where do we begin? Where do we begin? Where do we begin? Begin with the heart. Where do we begin? Where do we begin? Where do we begin? Begin with the heart. Where do we begin? Where do we begin? Where do we begin? Begin with the heart.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the First Unitarian Fellowship of Nanaimo. Our mission is to create spiritual connection and bring compassion, discovery, and social justice to life. My name is Larry Bolt, and I'm privileged today to be your service leader. My pronouns are he, him, and his. Now, I know you've probably done it, but time to turn off the phones, turn them to, it's kind of a worship mode, you know, something nice, and let's say hello to all our friends that are on Zoom. You can see them up there on the screen, but if you turn towards the green frog and wave, they can see us. And then when you turn around to here, you can see them waving at you. Whatever your hopes, dreams, and aspirations, whatever your race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender identity, whatever makes you who you are warmly welcomed here. In keeping with our Unitarian Universalist aspiration of radical inclusion, we invite you to share your pronouns as well as your name when introducing yourself, if you are comfortable doing so. We are grateful for a diversity of voices on Sunday mornings, and our services vary from week to week. They run between 60 and 75 minutes long. If this is your first time with us, a very special welcome to you. If you're joining us online, please consider sharing your contact information with us. You can share it with the host by going to the chat icon at the bottom of your screen, and we'd love to welcome you to our community. We have a website, ufon.ca, that's spelled UFON.ca, and invite you to check it out for more detailed information about who we are, the services we offer, and how you can connect with us. We acknowledge today that we meet on the traditional territory of the Snuneymuxw First Nation. As Unitarians, we are committed to the work of reconciliation to address the harm done to all Indigenous peoples and their cultures by non-Indigenous peoples. We have much to learn from the Indigenous perspective, including that the earth is the source of all life and that our responsibility is to honor and care for it. Oh yay, oh yay! Listen closely, fellow UUs. Mark your calendars. Sunday, November 16th, after the service, we're going to be hosting a fellowship town hall, gathering right here at 12:30 p.m. You won't want to miss it. Well, now to return to our regular scheduled programming. Are you curious about membership? Reilly Yeo is proposing a workshop and conversation for those interested in membership and for longtime members in the boardroom. The longtime members can get a refresher from it. And that'll be at 12:30 after the service next Sunday, November 2nd. November. There will be new members ceremony in January led by our new minister, Reverend Ashley Burzak. If you're interested, please see Brenda Stewart at the welcome table at the back here, or Reilly after the service. Or you can just simply email info@ufon.ca. To find out about all special events, groups, meetings, and taking place in the hall, you can go to the calendar on our website, read the weekly emails sent to you on Friday, or check out the large whiteboards in the hall around the corner by the washrooms. Let us enter now into sacred time. Our music director, Leah Hokanson, will lead us into worship through music.
Good morning, everyone. In the spirit of Samhain, this morning's prelude was written for a play that I wrote with a friend, Kate Summers, called Cocktail Party at the End of Time. The idea of the play is that when you die, the first place you go is to a cocktail party. And everyone who's ever been in your life are all sitting around and drinking and having casual conversation. And as the dead person, this is your opportunity to have the conversations you couldn't seem to have when you were alive. And the song is called Playing Dead. I've just taken my last breath, played at life, now I'm on to death. I really don't know what to expect, since I was paid my last respect, and I bit the dust, kicked the bucket, bought the farm and gave up the ghost. I put all my sorrows and fears to bed, and now I'm playing dead. I gave life a pretty good shot. Lord knows the many ways I've fought, but so far death is much more fun than being under the knife or under the gun. Since I cashed my chips, bit the big one, put on the wooden overcoat, there's no more sadness and no more dread, 'cause now I'm playing dead. Now I'm in a whole new way. Who knew there'd finally come a day when no longer hale and hearty I'd be showing up at a cocktail party? Since I popped my clogs, kicked that bucket, reached my expiration date, there's no more voices in my head, living 6 feet under instead, and pushing up the daisies in the flower bed. Yes, and now I'm playing dead. Ooh, now I'm playing dead.
Makes you want to dance, that song. That was written and by our multi-platinum recording artist. Thank you, Leah. That was absolutely wonderful. I love that. So once again, we are grateful to have Reilly Yeo as our speaker today. She's a Unitarian Universalist minister in training. Is that the correct? Okay. And she lives with her husband and 2 children in Victoria. And we're grateful that she's made this trip once again over the Malahat to be with us today.
So on this day of our Halloween or Samhain service, let's invite a festive atmosphere into our hearts. This is a time of year that has been celebratory for cultures all over the world for millennia. It's an important threshold moment to experience communion, to harvest riches, and to prepare for struggles ahead. As we're going to reflect on our ancestors today, when the boundary between this world and the other world is thin, take a moment to consider both the gifts and the burdens that you were given by your ancestors and your elders. As we gather for worship today, we're going to consider what it means to grow elder in community. While Larry lights the chalice flame, let's let it kindle in our hearts curiosity, fellowship, and a sense of sacred time. A space during the week to deepen presence, to cultivate purpose, and to enjoy the company and the bounty of community. Now, please rise, embody your spirit to join me in singing Come Ye Thankful People, number 68, in Singing the Living Tradition.
People come, raise a song of harvest home. Fruit and crops are gathered in, safe before the storms begin. God, our Maker, will provide for need to be supplied. Come to God's own temple, come, raise a song of harvest home. All the world is but a field, given for a fruitful yield. Wheat and tares together sown, here for joy or sorrow grown. First the blade and then the ear, then the full corn shall appear. Of harvest grant that we, wholesome, green, and pure may be.
That in Unitarian Universalism, we really invite you to use the word for God that works for you, which may not be God. So you may hear that song, you may hear love, you may hear goddess, you may hear spirit of life, whatever invites you into a sense of connection to the sacred. So for our time for all ages today, we're going to do something that we did last year as well, which is a chocolate tasting meditation. Just knowing that this is a time of year when treats are everywhere, and we're invited to try to develop a more mindful relationship to them. I know that I'm really trying to cultivate that for my children, and it's a time of year that is particularly challenging. So it invites me to deepen my own practice of it. So I'm going to be talking a fair bit in the homily today about this concept of presence. And this is really an opportunity to start to work on that today in our service. I'm going to invite KJ and Larry to come give out the chocolate. And there's also grapes for people who prefer. There's some dark chocolate and some milk chocolate. So don't eat the chocolate yet. Take a piece and wait, and we'll eat the chocolate together in a moment. This was really making me remember Diane Filipov and cry when I was thinking of doing this, because I remember when we did this last year, she ate her chocolate right away, and then she looked very bashful, and it was very lovely. It was a very, very perfect moment for her very humble character. And of course, with any kind of this kind of activity, it's really to engage with it whatever way you feel called to do. So you may not want to do it, that's fine. It's completely your choice. And if you don't want to actually eat something as part of this meditation, you can just follow along. So the meditation is adapted. Thank you, Larry. Oh, yes, I should do it too. Okay. Okay. So it's adapted from Thich Nhat Hanh's How to Eat an Apple. Before taking a bite, pause for a moment. Look at the item in your hand and ask yourself, when I eat something sweet, am I really enjoying it? Or am I so preoccupied with other thoughts that I miss the delights that this treat offers me? Now you can slowly take a bite and chew it. Be aware of your in-breath and your out-breath a few times to help yourself concentrate solely on eating. What it feels like in your mouth. What it tastes like. What it's like to chew and swallow it. Invite other thoughts to leave your mind as you eat this. Any projects, deadlines, worries, to-do list, any fear, any sorrow, any anger, any past and any future. Let them go if they come to you. Just focus on the taste of the food. Being focused and slowing down will allow you to truly savor all the qualities that this food offers. What do you notice? Maybe sweetness, aroma, maybe creaminess, maybe freshness. And as you become fully aware of eating, you also become fully aware of the present moment. You become fully engaged in the here and now. Living in the moment, you can really receive whatever food offers you. In doing so, you become more alive. You find new ways to balance the sweet and the bitter in your life. Take another breath. Sometimes we think meditation is the ideal of not having any other thoughts. But actually, it's the return to the moment. The thoughts come. It doesn't matter how many times. It doesn't matter what they are. So long as we try to let them go, invite them to leave for now. Return to the present moment. Take another breath. You may want to open your eyes if you've closed them. Arrive back in the room. And we're going to sing our children's recessional song. As we do, I invite you to think about how you might pass this lesson down to the children in your life so that they are really held in your love.
We hold you in our love as you go, as you go. May your heart be at peace as you go. To the spark of your precious light, we hold you in our hearts as you go. Nous vous enterrons maintenant et toujours, avant que soit imprès toujours.
chocolate. I have a theory about chocolate. Where does chocolate come from? Cocoa. What's cocoa? A bean. What are beans? They're vegetables. I'm eating my vegetables when I have that chocolate. So now we're going to have Joan and Charla. We'll now pass the baskets for our offering. For those of you here for the first time, your presence is your contribution. Those online can go to our website, the big blue button, donate button at the bottom, and that's on our homepage for you to give your donation today. We now have the ability to accept your donation by debit or credit card. If you wish to donate this way, just see Brenda or the crew back there at the volunteer table, and they'll be happy to assist you. The welcome table, pardon me, not volunteer table. To help the wider community, half of all cash donations will be given to our charity of the month. This month's charity is the Unitarian Shelter. Since 2008, the Unitarian Shelter, which is now operated by Nanaimo Family Life Association, has served as a temporary home for hundreds of adults struggling with poverty, including seniors, people with disabilities, low-wage workers, students, and those suffering with mental illness, and people struggling with addictions. If you want your donation to go to the charity of the month, you will need to make a note of that on your e-transfer or check. And for those of you who do not care, oh, that's in here twice. So there we go. Thank you for your support today. As a spiritual community, it is our intention to be authentically present to one another, especially in these different times. One way we do this is by including in the service a time to listen to significant personal milestones in our lives. If you have had such a milestone and wish to share it, now is the time to do so. We'll begin with those in the hall, and then we'll invite those attending on Zoom. When you come to the microphone, please introduce yourself with your full name. As I place the final pebble in the water bowl for the joys and concerns that have been left unspoken, I ask that you hold in your heart everything that you have heard and felt.
We share in love, we listen in love, we hold one another in love. Each joy and concern we witness and learn and grow together in love and grow together in love.
So we're going to do a responsive reading now. It's on the paper. Thank you to Penny for catching a typo in the last sentence there. It says, so long as they live. It should be so long as we live. So, and that's your line. The italicized lines are your lines. So you'll be reading that one as so long as we live, not so long as they live. So we don't do these very much here, but there's quite a few in Singing the Living Tradition that are quite beautiful. And they always go, person at the pulpit reads the standard lines and congregation reads the italicized lines. So I will start with In the Rising of the Sun, and then you will follow with In the Blowing of the Wind, that line. It's called We Remember Them by Roland B. Gittleson. In the rising of the sun and in it going down, we remember them. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them. In the opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of summer, we remember them. In the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember them. So long as we live, they too shall live. And we remember them. Now please rise in body or spirit to sing 1003 from singing The Journey, Where Do We Come From?
Thanks, Reilly. And we're going to sing this one time through in unison, and then we'll sing it once through in a round. So if you're on that side of the room, please follow Lara. And if you're on this side of the room, please follow Ruth.
You are my people.
Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where do we come from? Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Where are we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where do we come from? Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we going? Mystery, mystery, life is a we going. Do we come from? Where are we going?
So I wanted to start, and I'll let Ruth bring up my slides, with a little update about how Halloween is going in my house this year. We can go to the next slide already. So you might recall that last year, I think you need to advance it, Ruth. It's got a missing word. No, go back. Weird. Okay. Strange, okay.
It's the Halloween mystery.
It's supposed to say how it started. I'm not sure what happened to that word, but it's fine. So you might recall last year I talked about, if you were here, you might recall, but don't worry if you weren't, I'm going to walk you through it. I talked about Avery's Halloween journey from when he was a friendly a definitely not scary little bear when he was 2. We asked him, when he wanted to be a bear for Halloween, we asked him, well, are you going to be a friendly bear or a scary bear? And he said, a friendly bear, definitely not a scary bear. And as a friendly bear, he made it to precisely one house before he was too scared of all the Halloween decorations and the dark and needed to go home. So even the promise of candy, which by that age he knew was something he really liked, was not enough to make him keep going. Just 2 years later, he wanted to be a fierce shark. And the shark had to have blood dripping from the mouth, which you may be able to see. This was an important part of the costume. And he went out for several blocks. So running around with his friends, this is after he'd started kindergarten, knew lots of kids in the neighborhood. And he was exclaiming at all the scary decorations, just reveling in the Halloween spirit. So I talked about how what this really represented was him overcoming fears, and how it was in part the community that he has in our neighborhood, James Bay, that enabled him to become less fearful. So yes, of course, he's motivated in part by the candy, but he was also motivated to go further and further for Halloween each year because he wants to be with his friends. And he also knows that he's safe in his community. And with his friends, they're all growing into new phases of childhood together, including this year, when he escalated the ferocity of his costume quite a bit. So if that was how it started, the cute shark, this is how it's going this year. He wanted to be a demon. And when I let him scroll through all these secondhand costumes that we could buy, this was the one he wanted immediately. And I actually have to remember to go to Party City today. I can't forget, because I could only find it at Party City in Nanaimo. There's no Party City in Victoria, to pick up a pitchfork. I have it written at the top of my homily, do not forget pitchfork. So we were having dinner on just this past weekend. I have some very conservative, they're lovely, my aunt and uncle, but they're very conservative, they're very, very devout Catholics. And my uncle asked Avery what he was going to be for Halloween, and Avery promptly said, the devil. It definitely made me, I was like a demon. It definitely made me squirm a little bit, although definitely not the first time that it's been clear we have a different theology. By choosing to be this kind of otherworldly and demonic creature for Halloween, Avery is actually participating in a way in his ancestors' ancient traditions, because our Celtic ancestors at this time of year would have been celebrating Samhain, the midpoint between the autumn equinox and the winter solstice, the time that ushers in the darker half of the year. So in traditional Celtic cultures, this is the time that the cattle would be driven down from their summer pastures in order to be slaughtered for the fall harvest. Communities would share these huge feasts featuring the last crops, the grains, the apples, the nuts, the root vegetables, and the meat from those animals that were culled before the winter. So Samhain was a liminal or threshold festival, when the boundary between this world and the other world was thin. So that meant that the East-She, the fairies, or the spirits, could more easily come into our world, into the world of the living. And in response, people would offer them food or drink to appease them, to help ensure that their families would survive the winter. This was also a time when ancestors would visit. Their souls would appear, visiting their former homes to seek hospitality. At the Samhain meal, people actually set a place for their ancestors at the table. Our tradition of dressing up comes from mumming and guising that were part of this festival from at least the early modern era. People went door to door in costumes, reciting verses in exchange for food. And the costumes might have been a way of imitating or maybe disguising yourself from the East-She. The next slide. So this is the time of year that marks the change from the bounty of the harvest, the waning autumn sun, which we definitely have been feeling the last few days, to the preparation for winter, a time when Earth was going to lie fallow again, when the nights would be long and dark and cold You can imagine for our ancestors, this felt like a bigger deal before there was artificial light, before there were grocery stores, when our ancestors had to confront the very real fear that they might not survive. So hence, they invited their ancestors, their departed loved ones, and the spirits like the East She to bless them, to help them survive those long winter months ahead. So Samhain was a festival that honored the role of community and interdependence. Communities would light these large communal bonfires on the hilltops or on their sacred sites, and the fires symbolized light and protection as the darkness grew stronger. People would sometimes extinguish their hearth fire at home and relight it from the communal blaze so they could bring good luck to their household. Now, in our culture, we tend to associate learning to overcome fears very strongly with childhood. But learning to overcome fears is actually a lifelong commitment, and it's one where the presence of community can continually be helpful. As Unitarian Universalists, our third principle is encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. And I wonder how many of you have seen this graphic or something like it of the comfort zone, where there's boredom and complacency, the learning zone, where we feel challenge, excitement, engagement, but then the panic zone, where we feel high anxiety and stress. So you have to leave your comfort zone in order to learn, but if you go too far into your panic zone, you'll feel the kind of anxiety that makes you freeze and makes it difficult to learn. Part of what I've always understood that we're here to do together in spiritual community is to help each other expand our learning zones so that they can encompass the reality of the polycrisis, a word you've heard from me before, that interlocking, interdependent crisis of crises that defines our time. So we can have that reality in our learning zone without pushing us into panic. So we're here to learn what Bob Doppelt, he's the founder of the International Transformational Resilience Coalition, what he calls the two essential skills for meeting the climate emergency: presencing and purposing. So presencing, like what we did during that chocolate tasting meditation, practicing that self-regulation, that groundedness, that presence, and then purposing, which you can do the next slide, as Bob Doppelt describes it, is knowing how to turn toward and learn about the self and the world during any kind of adversity as a way of making meaning from it. So he says we can purpose by continually asking, what can I learn from any distressing experience? We can learn presence, and we can deepen purpose as a way of overcoming our fears, even as adults, of expanding our learning zones. And we can do it here together as part of our third principle, commitment to encourage each other's spiritual growth. So when we look at a kid, like my kid Avery, we have this very clear sense that he's growing up. In a Unitarian Universalist community, he would be working towards a specific coming-of-age ceremony. Some of you may have attended a coming-of-age in the past. I see a few of you nodding. But what if we're all coming of age all the time? What if that is part of the indigenous wisdom that we need to recover through presencing and purposing? So Stephen Jenkinson, who wrote this book, Come of Age, says, getting older is inevitable. Becoming an elder is a skill. Elders have large learning zones. They have the capacity to keep learning, to keep purposing, without going into panic. Next slide. Just like Avery learns to go a little further on Halloween each year together with his friends in the safety of his community, we can still keep learning each year to be a little more grounded, a little more present, a little more elder. As we get closer to that real life point where the boundary between this world and the other world is thin, we can draw on the wisdom of our own ancestors and the ancestors of this territory who came together in community to overcome fears collectively, not alone, not individually. So at the same time as I'm proud of Avery for overcoming his fears, I also experienced this delicate balancing act as the parent of a little boy to not encourage him to become too desensitized. Can you go to the next slide, Ruth? So for the longest time, we couldn't watch any movies, like not even one, because both of my kids were just so sensitive that they would need to run out of the room if there was any danger or any kind of conflict. I don't know if any of you know this Winnie the Pooh movie. It's Winnie the Pooh and the Blustery Day. I thought we would be safe with Winnie the Pooh as a movie choice, but in fact, the Blustery Day was too blustery, and they were just too worried, Avery and Elise, about Pooh and Piglet, and we had to turn it off. As we overcome fears together, we also want to preserve that sensitivity, that openness to the world that makes us want to be good stewards of it. The hearts that hurt at violence and destruction are also the hearts that most want to heal it. So being present and cultivating purpose help us find that balance of fearlessness and sensitivity. We can lean on our ancestors and our community for help. I hope that you'll join me now and rise in body or spirit. We're going to sing Breaths, number 1001, in singing The Journey, as some of you know it as the Teal hymnal.
Listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters. Ah, whoosh, ah, whoosh. Those who have died have never, never left. The dead are not under the earth. They are in the rustling trees. They are in the groaning woods. They are in the crying grass. They are in the moaning rocks. The dead
I love that song, although the language has never 100% worked for me. It's a beautiful song, and the message is so wonderful. But I wonder if perhaps how we might say it here is listen to the beings who are part of what we often hear called the more than human world. So the world of trees and rivers and mountains, those beings that aren't human, but are beings and kin nevertheless. Listen to the ancestor spirits, the people who knew how to live on this land with a natural sense of presence and purpose. They can help guide our journey to elderhood, as learning and growth remain a part of our lives for our entire lives, not just our childhood. We come of age together in Unitarian Universalist community, supporting each other's spiritual growth and our ongoing search for truth and meaning. As we extinguish our chalice today, you can still read the words after, Larry. Let's carry the flame of learning, of overcoming fears, of interdependence through long nights and cold winters, literal and metaphorical. Let's carry that flame into our weeks ahead. May it be so, and blessed be.
We extinguish this flame,
but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
We're nearing the end of our service. After we sing Carry the Flame, you'll have an opportunity to join a social group. There are breakout rooms available online for the next 30 minutes. If you want to join an online breakout room, stay online and the host will put you there. We will have refreshments and conversation in the hall. Normally we'll have 2 long tables set up over here with food and such, but we're going to do it a little differently today. We usually have a couple of round tables out. We're going to use the round tables for the food today. For those setting up, if you could please do that. And we're going to do one long section of tables together with chairs on both sides, so we can have a communal time together today. And if you have an opportunity, try to sit with somebody that you don't know. I want to thank the many folks who have given their time and energy to make today's service so wonderful. The Sunday Services Committee, the audiovisual team, Leah Hokinson, thank you so much for your wonderful music. The greeters and offering collectors, those at the welcoming table, the kitchen volunteers who come early and stay late for cleanup, and those who brought food and flowers. Our heartfelt gratitude to all of you. And most importantly, I want to thank you for joining us and your participation today. We'll now sing our final song, Carry the Flame. The words are on the wall in the hall at the back here or in this corner over here. Our custom is to stand in a big circle, hold hands, or touch elbows as you are comfortable. Oh, we got the conga line going.
All the good vibes from your long marriage.